Howdy folks, Troy with V-Twins to V8s coming back on, give you a little update on the C10 project. I've got a full front drive system from Eddy Motorsports. This is a V-drive system, so what we're going to do today is we are going to mock this whole system up on the front of the engine, so let's check it out. So right now what I've got is I've got my whole front area pretty well mocked up. I did the radiator, the electric fans, I set up my air conditioning condenser, the receiver dryer, and I've got my lines going through the radiator support. So what I want to do is kind of mock up the rest of my AC system, but to do that I need to know where my AC compressor is going to go. And what we have on this truck is I've got a full front drive system from Eddy Motorsports. This is a V-drive system because I wanted to keep regular V-belts and keep a more traditional kind of look. I went with the black and the natural finish on the components so it would have a little bit more of a OEM kind of a look and not so much, not too much bling, so to speak. Wanted it to be a little bit subdued and a little bit more tasteful, so to speak. So what we're going to do today is we are going to mock this whole system up on the front of the engine. So let's check it out. So this is what we have here from Eddy Motorsports. We've got all of these nice billet brackets, a water pump, we've got a PowerMaster alternator, we've got a new style power steering pump, we've got the AC compressor. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the instructions and we are going to start assembling this on the front of the engine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by mounting our water pump, but to do that, this system uses these aluminum billet brackets that go between the water pump and the front of the engine block. So we're going to get these unwrapped. I'm going to take these out and we're going to get this water pump on. One of the things I do have to say is you've got all of these things, but nothing has any markings on it. So basically I look at the instructions and I match up the piece by eye, and that's how I figure out which piece is which. I mean, you know, obviously this is my footprint, so when I look at this bracket I know that that's where it's going to go. But I mean, in the future these guys would probably be helpful if you put some markings on these pieces. Okay, so as you can see, my water pump is here. These are the two bosses on this side. I've got these two studs that are going to go into the block, and then they're going to go through this bracket and then through this here. Then I have this boss that goes on the other side, and then I have these two studs that are different length, and if you look at the boss on the side of the water pump, you can see the difference. So we're going to put these bolts in and we'll get this set up. Okay, so I ran a thread chaser through these holes so that I know that I can just screw these right in. I recommend that you guys do the same thing. Our bottom bolt, remember, is the long one, and the top one is the short one, and then these other two are the same. We're not going to mess around with any gaskets or any O-rings or any of that stuff because this is just a mock-up to see how this all works out. We'll take our two bosses here. Slide these right on. Kind of an interesting setup. I like it. And there we go. That's looking pretty slick. I like it. Okay, so the next thing that we have is we have our drive pulley that goes on the crankshaft. What I did was I slipped the water pump back off because, in my opinion, it's going to be a lot easier for me to put this pulley on when the water pump's not on there. Besides, I just had it slid on there, so I don't know why the instructions, you know, kind of recommend this particular setup, but whatever. So we're going to take this is a aluminum pulley. It's got some nice stainless steel Allens, and we're going to go ahead and get this pulley installed on here. I left all this cooling stuff in here so that I could make sure that all my clearances and everything are going to be good. You probably don't have the luxury of getting inside the engine compartment, but if you do, take it. Alright, so that is about enough of that. Okay, now our lower pulley's on. I'll slip that water pump back on there. Put that water pump on right side up. Alright, now we got our water pump back on there. We got our lower pulley on. Okay, so we've got our water pump pulley here. It's got 2 grooves in it, and I'm gonna put this on the water pump to find out which sets of holes. There's 2 sets of holes here, so we want to make sure we're in the right one. So now we know where we're at. And I'm not sure, but maybe I can put this on and then put the water pump on. I'm not really sure about that, but we should give that a try. Yep, I can fit that right on there. So I'm going to put my pulley bolts in, run these down. Now all my stuff is just like finger tight, because once again it's a mock-up. But if you were going to put this on here, they want you to use like a thread locker and, you know, all the proper gasket sealings and everything like that. So bing, bang, boom. And our pulley lines right up perfectly with our crankshaft pulley, so we're looking good. Okay, so my water pump is just slid on there. So they have kind of this unique system. They call them standoffs. They basically look like spacers, except they're tapped on either side. Now, one side is tapped with a standard US 3/8 that's going to go on your studs, and then the other side is tapped with a metric that's going to be used with your bolts that you bolt your brackets on with. So you have to make sure that you have the right standoffs in the right place. So in other words, you got to make sure we're going to put these standoffs on. Our first thing is going to be this air conditioner bracket. So I've got the bracket out of the package. It's aluminum, of course. It comes with these Allen bolts. So I find the 2 standoffs that have the proper size for this. Okay, so you've got 3 long ones and 1 short one. The short one goes on this passenger side lower, so that you end up with a flush mounting surface, and then we've got the other 2 go over here like this. I'm actually starting to really like this setup. These 2 here, they say not to tighten them. I'm not going to tighten them anyways, but I did run a thread chaser through them because when I took them out of the package, there was some filings from when they were tapped. So I don't really know what the situation is there, but okay, so there is a slight problem that I have here. Is like when I'm slid on and I get my piece here like this, it's hitting this machine boss right here, and it's not allowing this piece to sit flush on the water pump like it should. So I am gonna have to deburr this area, and then I noticed that like down here, I just got this little bit of stuff right there, and I think I'm just gonna knock that out of the way as well, and then this should drop right on. But this is one of those things that you just have to deal with. So I deburred this area of the water pump that is right in here where this sits against there. It was my standoff was hitting the edge, the boss on the water pump, and not coming in, you know, nice and even like that. So a little bit with the die grinder, and I got that taken care of. Okay, so a little deburring with the die grinder, and I got all my standoffs up against the water pump. I got the water pump flush to my brackets in the block. My pulleys are lined up nicely, and now I can mount AC compressor bracket as so. Starting to look pretty good, and we'll see what's next. Okay, so we're on to our AC compressor, and I put a lot of these sanded air compressors in for vintage air systems, and this company does a lot of modifications to it. Usually it comes very rudimentary with four brackets on the side of it, but they've got this piece here all machined out. This is your bottom. They've got this one here all tapped, which is also the bottom. And then they've got this one mounted up here, which is the top. Now the other thing is you got this really cool, sexy bolt. And when I took it out of the package, I was like, what is this and where does it go? Amazing. So it's shouldered, so it goes through here and it goes into this lower bracket over here, like this. So you got this going here, and then it mounts here and here. So these are your two pivot points, and then this is your pinch bolt here on the top. So your pivot point bolt will have just a, just a regular flat washer like this, and then your pinch bolt has a flat washer and a lock washer as usual. So we are gonna hang an air compressor. Okay, so we're gonna mount our AC compressor, but one of the things I wanna do first is they give you this sexy aluminum fitting for the water pump, and I just kind of figure, you know what? Screwing that in there seems to make more sense than trying to screw it in when that AC compressor's in the way. So I'm just gonna put that right in there to mock it up. I'm gonna take my AC compressor and I'm gonna hold it up here and see what I got. And oh yeah, that's looking darn sexy. So to make it easy, I am going to put my pinch bolt in first, just to hold my compressor so it won't fall. And then I can put my other bolts in. Okay, now I've got my bolts all snugged up in here, just finger tight so that everything is in position. And as you can see, my AC compressor moves nice and easy. This is probably the easiest mounting I've ever done for a sanded style compressor. I mean, it just works, and it's in perfect alignment with everything. So now we're going to move on to the next thing. Okay, so now we have our compressor mounted. The next thing we would do would be to unbolt these plates and mount this manifold that goes on the top to connect our lines. But due to the fact that this is just a mock-up and I don't want to open this, and because they fill this compressor with nitrogen and lubricating oil, so you don't want to open this until you're ready to actually build a system and then recharge it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this on the side, and I'll be able to just go like this, and I'll be able to kind of surmise, within a quarter of an inch or half an inch where my lines are supposed to be. So I'm all set there. So the next thing that's going to happen is over here on this side of the engine, I am going to mount my power steering bracket. Okay, so here's our bracket. We got our boss here that we mounted with the water pump. So this has actually got two little bosses that are going to index right in here, and then we're going to use these Allen bolts to hold it on there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. So those fit on there pretty nice. I'm going to leave it kind of loose, and then I'm going to get my other brackets, and we'll start fitting this together. Okay, so here's our power steering pump, and it's cute. It's sweet and sexy. I like it. It's nice and small. The thing that's cool about the power steering pump is it mounts stationary. So in other words, we don't have to move this to tension the belt. That's going to be done by the alternator that goes on the top. So what we got is we got a bolt that goes through the bottom and goes into our bracket we just mounted. If I can get it to be there. That this pump tank was going to be a little close to the frame, but I got nice clearance. I'm not worried about that at all. So if you're going to run a stock frame, this will work. I'm going to snug that bottom up, then we'll move on to the installing the alternator. Okay, so now that I got my pump all mounted nice and solid, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount my pulley. So it attaches with these 3 stainless screws. You'll see it's 1, 2, 3. So what I did was I indexed my pump so that I had one hole at 12 o'clock, and then this way here it should make it a little bit easier for me to get this to go on there and be in the right spot. Got the first one started, and Bada bing. Oh, damn, that looks good. Okay, now we got a power steering pump. Now, I'm assuming it's the alternator. Okay, so now I've taken out my alternator bracket. I got that. There's a long bolt that travels through here. That's going to be the pivot bolt, I should say. You got these two that hold it on to these standoffs, and then of course you have the usual one that screws into the alternator. So this actually mounts right to these standoffs, and then this goes right into here. So I mean, this is just so sweet. I mean, I just love this already. I mean, this system is quite expensive, but I gotta be really honest with you. I think it's worth the money. I mean, the amount of time and effort you save, plus everything's in perfect alignment. You're not like tweaking stuff and making spacers and checking all your angles and everything. It's all pre-worked out for you, and
Money, your money.
You get what you pay for, right? So there's your bolt that goes in for your alternator, and there's your pinch bolt here. So now I'm gonna grab the alternator and we'll see what happens. Holy guacamole, Batman! I don't think I really need this much information here, but I mean, this is like craziness. PowerMaster alternator, which is a really good product. I like the PowerMaster stuff. So here we go. All right, so we got our alternator. Look at that. It's got the finish pulley and everything already on it. You can get our alternator in here. Get it in between here. All right, so I got the bottom one started. I'll get this top one started. And honestly, look at that. Everything's right. Everything's, lined right up and everything. I really like this. The other thing is it's very compact. Just cleans everything up. I mean, I've used some of the vintage air systems where they put the compressors and the alternator way outboard. You end up with these really wily looking belts and stuff. Never really cared for that, but wow. I mean, this is really, really nice. So I'm assuming next is going to be belts. Okay, so here we go. It is what I would like to call belt time. And what's really cool about this, they supply you with the belts. What's even cooler than them supplying you the belts is it takes, whether it's the power steering or the alternator, they both take the same belt number. So you don't have to buy two different belts. If you have one spare belt, you can replace either belt you want. So I just think it's another kind of genius thing. So it looks to me like the alternator and the power steering are going to be on one belt, and the crankshaft is going to drive the water pump and the air conditioning condenser with the other. So the inner, that sucker on there, and there, and yeah, I wish I could walk that on that alternator, but I can't. But I can walk it on the power steering. Nice. So that. Throw my bolt in. Just gonna put that on there finger tight, because once again, we're just checking it out. I don't even have my pinch bolt in on the front, so that should make this one nice and easy. Around there, here, swing this out. Here's my bolt. Oh God, this is beyond freaking cool. And that's it. That is the entire setup done. So here's a view of it from over here. I mean, This is just a super, super clean and super sweet setup. I'll get the small camera over here so we can pan around it. So here you go. There's the mount for your AC compressor. And you come up and around here. There's your water pump, your alternator, and then down here, this sweet and sexy little power steering pump. And then when you look at it like this, I mean, you pan back, and it's just, it's right within the 2-cylinder head, so it's nice and narrow. I really, really like it. All right, folks, so there you have it. The EMS, or Eddie Motorsports V-Drive Pro system, all installed, ready to rock and roll. Wow, I am very impressed. This is a really, really nice setup. It's expensive, but I think it's worth the money. I didn't have to really do any modifications. I mean, I had to deburr the front edge of the water pump a little bit just to get those standoffs to sit down nice and flush like I wanted them to. Other than that, I mean, this is just a sweet, sweet setup. Power steering pump has plenty of clearance on a factory frame, and nice, everything's nice and tidy. It's within the edges of the heads, valve covers almost. So I mean, it's got plenty of clearance up front. It's attractive. I really like it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions or comments, as usual, down below. There'll be some links down below for stuff you may need. Please click my links and help me out. That'd be great. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you like my content, please subscribe. And more importantly, good luck on your project.